All right, so we're back and we're talking.
Welcome back, people.
We're talking about Donnie Darko.
Dude.
Yeah.
Those $2 movies, though.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I got to see Evil
Blockbuster
Dead.
membership, though.
Seriously,
just these
man.
little things that like.
Yeah, like, you're like, oh man, in the 80s.
Dude, where's my Blockbuster membership card? Can you remember?
Right. I love when the Donnie's sister's like, I'm voting for Dukakis, and they're
Yes!
like, oh,
Yes!
what? Dukakis.
That was amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
my God.
that conversation.
Dude, Donnie's parents, they're so interesting. Like his mom is a great actress, by the way. She was the president in Battlestar Galactica. She's amazing.
Okay.
Actress. And so there's this scene, and I don't know if it's in like the regular cut of the movie, but I think I watched the director's cut. It was definitely in that. So his parents are like out to dinner, and they're just like at this restaurant, and it's after Donnie gets in trouble for about the timeline or the line thing that he tells like his gym teacher is like he asked me to forcibly insert the line into my
And
anus.
his dad is so proud.
Dude, and he like laughs about it, right? And like so they share this moment as they're walking out. There's this other scene in the restaurant where they're kind of like arguing about like the mother's like she's like, I don't think Donnie saying that should be rewarded, because Donnie's sister is like, oh, and they bought him all this stuff, and then his dad like laughs, and he's like, well, I think we should get him a moped, and they sit there for like a beat in like this moment of silence, and the mother's just like, I think we should get a divorce, and I was like, oh my God, these people like actually hate each other, and then they kind of just like another beat goes by, and they look at each other and like smile, and like I was like, oh my God, these are like the best parents ever, and like they just have to like deal with this craziness right now. I like feel for them so bad. I don't know why I'm like super connected to them in this movie, but I guess it's just like watching it. That's where I am right now.
You know what it is? They are surprisingly dynamic. Like in a movie world of like kind of not really. I don't want to say that everyone else in the movie is like one dimensional, but you definitely have. I think intentionally there's suburban simpletons,
right,
and then there's everyone else, and like they're a part of everyone else, because even the mother is really interesting, where she's definitely concerned for her son, and she loves her son because she makes herself vulnerable to communicate with him and connect with him,
right,
but at the same time when he dies, like everyone is crying, like everyone is bawling and in distress and can't like contain themselves. And she's just having a cigarette against the tree. Yeah. But it's not complete apathy, because even when Donnie's at the end of himself and then he's like, how does it feel to be the mother of a whack job? Yeah. She's not like, oh, you're not a whack job. She doesn't sugarcoat it, but she's just like, it's wonderful or something like that, she said.
Yeah. And she has this like this strange acceptance that like the father doesn't have. Yeah.
Yeah. The father seems to be very, even though definitely like involved in a part of the family, it's almost like he watches the family carry themselves out in front of him and then reacts to it, like
dude,
laughs
especially
at
like
it, or
in dinner, like that's like the way it was. He was just kind of like watching it unfold.
Yeah, you know? It's almost like it's like this coping mechanism where he doesn't get involved. And not once in the movie does he discipline at all.
No,
really.
Even like when he's driving with Donnie, he's just kind of like, he's like, oh, you can't tell anybody anything. He's like, except your doctor. Like, tell her whatever you got to tell her. Like, he's concerned. Yeah. He's kind of like almost like scared of feelings. And like, the mother she's so, I think if someone else played her, they could have gone like very like cold with her. But I almost felt like this sadness and this like acceptance all the time. Like whenever she's on screen, there's this great scene where it's after the engine comes down and they're at the hotel, and like the father just kind of is just talking. He's like, he says this guy that they knew in high school, and like, oh, he almost was in a car accident, but he like lived, and he's like cursed, and he's like, that's our Donnie is cursed, and the mother's just like laying on him and just like she's like, I already know this, you know, like it's almost like she's just like, she's already made this connection and already like is like at peace with it, and he's just kind of like putting it together and like dealing with it, and like doesn't know how to like process feelings like that. Because even when they're at the therapist's office, you know, he's kind of just consoling her, but she's just kind of like, if that's what needs to be done for him to get better, then that's what needs to be done, and that's what we're gonna do.
That was, I guess that was it. It was sort of like this, like, involved yet acceptance.
Really strange
when she said that.
And like aside from like time travel, like I mean, you were right in saying there's a lot of like deeper stuff going on. Like what is this movie really about? Like, is it about? It's not like a coming of age thing. Like there's those elements in there. Is it about like therapy? Is it about I don't know, man. Like, I mean, the coming of age,
vanity,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's got some of that in there too.
I'd say that was the biggest theme for me, because they explicitly and implicitly kept speaking to this idea that there are these people, they're the less thans,
right?
And they're very in tune to how the world operates, and even though they come from different circumstances, there's this thing about their humanity that connects them together. Like, for example, when the character that Drew Barrymore plays gets fired, she goes outside and she yells "Fire!" Right? And then she turns around and she sees the Chinese girl, and she just like, they just like lock eyes for a moment, and she just like nods. And like I remember, and like that was the day after like she gave her performance, and everyone like sort of like berated her for for giving it, you know.
She says something to her. What is she's? Let me look it up real quick, because she says something to her. Oh no, Donnie says something to her.
Donnie says something. Donnie's like, "Good things are going to happen to you in the future," or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was like the explicit part that really like brought out that for whatever reason all these people feel connected to each other, and they notice their place like in the world in a kind of way.
Oh man, it's
man, that was cool. Al, you know what's cool about that? Then what makes it doubly cool that it was set in that time? It almost, if you put it, I guess if you juxtapose it to all the other movies about like relationships and friendships and like high school life that came out during that time in the early 90s, that one was like, that one there is like the black sheep. That was the one that went full retard with like like what it's like to be on the outside, or like misunderstood, you know what I mean? Where it's like, all right, here's the side of that weird kid that was in the background in that other high school movie that you saw. Because I mean, that was I guess really the early 90s. That was the time for the that was the time for the high school movies, right? And that's when. Actually, well, I guess it kind of blended to 2000s, because that movie came out around the same time that Freaks and Geeks came out. It's not a movie; it's more of like a show, but still, it played into that.
I think so too. And like that high school thing is like, you know, you could almost like look at this whole thing about like the world ending, like, is like Donnie's way to like, you know, if you want to take the time travel part out, you want to take like all of that stuff out, like Donnie getting this message that like the world is ending. Like when you're in high school, like, it can feel like that, like, you know, like, you know, when you're like, oh, I have to go to college, it's like my world, like everything I know is going to end and transition into this new world, you know what I mean? And maybe for someone who's going through like therapy with like with emotional and mental issues and stuff like that, like maybe it feels like that, and this is like Donnie's way of like coping with that.
See, for me, if they took away the time travel and stuff, I think I'd be a little bit frustrated, because there isn't enough, and this is even a thing that I'm running into with some of the newer like indie records that I've been listening to, where like there's this this unexplained melancholy, and I'm all for like, I guess I'm all for this is big tangent. I guess I'm all for like,
no, I love it.
I'm all for alternative music, but when I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm so familiar with alternative music that if the melancholy is unjustifiable, I get very turned off.
Okay.
And so, because if there isn't some sort of reasoning, because then it's like, are you just Are you just flirting with these inconclusive thoughts because it's romantic, or are you going somewhere with it? Are you going to take this thing that everyone can relate to and just use it to draw people in and then let it flatline, or is it going to be used in a proactive way to say something, you know?
Yeah.
And without the time travel and the prophecy, which gives the ending a meaning, which gives the ending like meaning and solidarity, in my head, I just get this disgruntled, clearly rich kid.
Right.
Because my house didn't look like his house growing up. So, like, for me, he definitely has privilege. I don't know, kid, you know, he's in his room. Like, he was a brat, first impression. Right. He was like, you get out of my room.
Yeah.
I could never say that. Sorry. Yeah. Like,
yeah, right.
Get out of my room. I shared my room with my siblings the whole time. So, like, to see all that stuff, I never really knew why he was so mad. I knew there was mental issues, but I still never knew why there were mental issues or why there were hallucinations. Like, he could have just been, I don't know, he could have just been extremely self-important. We really don't know.
Right. And it's almost like a question of, like, the world, if the world is going to end and someone has to save it, why this kid? You know, like, what makes him, I don't want to say special enough. What makes him special enough to get chosen to be like the person that saves it? It seems like there's much more like capable people at his high school. Like, almost like that girl could have, like, his girlfriend could have done, like, you know, a better job. But like, what is it? Is he, like, because of these mental issues, is he like receptive to these like nudges from other characters? I don't know. They don't go into like why he's like that or anything. Maybe it doesn't have to do anything with the story. Maybe it's just like, it's just convenient, you know?
Yeah.
You know what? I wanted to see if maybe like you thought this as well, but like, so you talked earlier about like the two teachers having this like connection, right? That they have this like, I don't know, they have this like bond or something, and we see them at the end like together, right? Which is something that like is not alluded to throughout the entire movie until we see them, you know, together in bed at the end. Yeah. But I almost feel like they have this one scene where they're sitting there, and I guess it's like a teacher's lounge or something, and like Noah Wiley like is like Donnie Darko, right? And they're like nodding at each other. Like the scene just starts, and that's what they're saying. And I think Drew Barrymore is just like, I know, right? Right? As if like for me, like that scene is just like alluding that they know more than they let on. Like they're aware of like what's happening and like how it needs to be fixed and stuff like that. Like it almost reminded me of the Latouche twins from BioShock.
Oh yeah.
BioShock
hey,
Infinite.
Dude, good. Yeah. That's a good analogy.
Like almost that they're just like aware of these that like I was saying earlier about
definitely.
Like they're guiding him to like they're like, here's how time travel works. You know, you really like, here's like flooding of something happens, burning down this house, just and like I don't know, that was like such an odd scene. I was trying to like put like, why is that there? Like, what are they alluding to? Like, I like how vague it is because
I'm so on board with that.
Yeah, and it makes me ask a million questions, and like the movie that I'm putting together in my head, like the backstory that I'm putting together in my head is like way better than the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I almost think that like movies like that, I like movies like that. Like some movies you watch and you're like, well, that's the world. The Decepticons came and then the Autobots beat them, and that's the world, and it's over. You know what I mean? Like they don't exist past that. You know what I mean? But like when a movie comes along and I can like start thinking about like, wow, what's like the bigger picture? Like what exists like before and after what we see and stuff like that. I think it's like a successful movie.
I think part of what plays into that success is that it should feel that way. Like it shouldn't. The Act 1 and Act 2 and Act 3 should really feel like Act 124, 125, 126. Yep. I mean, depending on the story that you're trying to tell, but if you really are creating a world around it, and the narrative Donnie Darko sort of demands that there is this world around like everything that's going on, you have to believe that there is a grand timeline that you're not seeing, and the film is just capturing like
a snippet of it,
like a snippet of it, you know. And like I definitely felt that way.
Yeah,
I felt that way, and what was cool was that I demanded more. Like, even at the end, I demanded more, but I wasn't dissatisfied or disgruntled with what I got. Like, they gave me just enough to understand what I needed to. But even then, I find myself in a place similar to where you sort of expressed, where I'm trying, I guess, the mission statement isn't as obvious. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's part of the appeal of it. Could you possibly, I mean, I'm curious to know, how is there sort of, what was like the grand consensus on
and like what happens basically?
Is there like this general one that people talk about? Because you saw it before I did.
I found kind of like the director's cut definitely helps with that. It breaks down, like, it's still like cryptic in the sense that, like, it's not like Donnie is this thing, and
right.
in the time travel lore of this movie, this thing is this and this is Donnie. It's just kind of like, it shows you, and the way they do it is really nice. They show you like 3 paragraphs, and like the middle paragraph is like most important, and it's kind of like highlighted through like it's just like brighter a little bit, and then the 2 other ones are kind of like softer focus kind of thing. But I found this on Wikipedia. I think this is like a pretty decent breakdown as to like what happened. So the film takes place in an unstable tangent universe that is connected to the primary universe and a duplicate of it, except for an extra metal vessel known as an artifact, the plane engine. If the artifact is not sent back to the primary universe by the chosen living receiver, that's Donnie. So like, this is like spelled out in the stuff. Within 28 days, the primary universe will be destroyed upon collapse of the tangent. So the tangent universe is going to end, therefore ending the primary universe. To aid in his task, this is what I'm talking about. To aid in his task, the living receiver is given superhuman abilities such as foresight, physical strength, and elemental powers, but at the cost of troubling visions, paranoia, while the manipulated living, all who live around the receiver, support him in unnatural ways, setting up a domino-like chain of events, encouraging him to return the artifact. The manipulated dead, those who die within the tangent universe, like Frank and Gretchen, are more aware than the living and have the power to travel through time, and will set an insurance trap, a scenario which leaves the receiver no choice but to save the primary universe. That's nuts. That's a crazy breakdown. That's from
so crazy.
Yeah, that's from
and amazing.
Dan Kois from Salon. So like that, like that's that. It's a good break. I think that's like a great lore. You know, like here's like none of these rules are like supported by facts or like scientific. It's just like, hey, magic works because of magic. This is how it is in this movie. Just deal with it. You know, it's nice that the way, like, I like when things are set up like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, like,
they don't need some elaborate justification.
No, you don't need to hear about like because of tachyons and blah blah blah. It's just like, hey, this is what's happening. We got to deal with it. That's the end of the movie. Yeah, so like I really like that he like made this whole like lore. It was a different way to handle time travel, because, you know, like up until now we've only seen time travel as like, oh my god,
universe.
One universe. I put a letter in the mailbox and now you can get it, or like I'm talking to my dead dad over the radio. You know what I mean? Like that's how we've done time travel before. We've done it through like the DeLorean and stuff, but this is like, it's different. It's a different way to do it. It's just kind of like a split off from like a parallel universe. It's kind of nuts, man.
And it circumvents the infinite loop too.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, I mean, we just discussed it, is irrelevant, but still, it's nice that it.
Yeah. Totally.
It created rules that it could follow.
Yeah. No. Exactly. It tells you the rules and then follows the rules, and it's rewarding in that sense, because you can start to like, you're like, oh wow. Like when I remember the first time watching it, like when those like those water tubes come out of people's chests from like
can we talk about those?
Yeah, like I remember like distinctly thinking, like when I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then I was like, oh, it's showing where he's going to go and like showing their destiny, almost like it's like a visual way to show someone's destiny. I was like, oh, that
drove
cool.
that home for me. I was like, okay, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
and at first, like before it was revealed, like I associated all of that with like Frank and the hallucinations, and just thinking like, okay, this plays into the whole predestination. Like, this is a part of the fate kind of thing. He's going to be able to see this, like, almost like he's sort of like, well, I guess he really does end up being the Messiah, where he can see. He can see all these things, and he can see like the grand master plan for things and stuff, and
yeah,
it's
kind of it's really well done, and like they do set up these little things like Donnie's reading that card in that exercise that they do about like the girl finds a wallet and returns it to like the person who owns it or whatever, right? So like. He
found the wallet.
He finds the dude's wallet. He's like, oh, well, now I know where he lives to go burn his house down, kind of thing. It's kind of nuts, man.
I loved that little connection there. By the way, that fear tape.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I love that. Like, see, now that makes more sense that it was made in 2001, because I was thinking, man, this was made in the 90s. This parody is too good.
Yeah, it's so
too recent for them to like with everyone turning around and to, oh my gosh.
I just did it in the camera.
And
that little kid, I'm not afraid.
Yeah. And the boom mic coming down, and that was so good.
Yeah, dude, seriously, it's so well done, man. It's just like captured that so well.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I wonder if it's like almost like, because he talks about Back to the Future in it. I wonder if it's like if Richard Kelly is just like, no, fuck Back to the Future. That's not how time travel works. Here's how time travel works. Let me show you like a really like, here's a teenager dealing with time travel in the 80s who's like not the most popular kid in school whose band is going to play the prom kind of thing. That might be an interesting like antithesis to Back to the Future.
I totally agree.
Huh. I've actually never thought about it like that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a doubt in my mind that.
That's cool. So some final thoughts, man. Like, what did you were you walking away recommending this to other people? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I could recommend this to people. I would have the hardest time describing what it is or what it's supposed to do. Like, I think I have a lot of friends who'd be like, well, dude, what was the point?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and I don't think I'd be able to give one, really.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It was one of those, I guess, in a sense, obviously it's not that because it didn't come till much later, but it's mumblecore in a sense that it's not as much about the plot as it's about the characters and the things that they experience during.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think that's what sort of plays into like having an interest in the world around the things that we've seen rather than the act 1, act 2, act 3, you know?
Right.
So like, actually thinking about it, this whole film like an anticlimax?
Yeah, you know,
is there really what is the climax actually?
I mean, I guess like the climax would be,
I guess, the end.
Yeah, like Gretchen.
Yeah, there's
Gretchen dying, I guess, would be the climax, and then I
But
mean, there
even
is
then,
the
the romance-
resolution we've already seen. We've already seen the resolution. Like we knew that they're all like moving toward the plane going back. I guess maybe like an audience might feel that like, oh, maybe Donnie will live in this other universe too, or like Donnie will like. I don't think anybody expected Donnie to die. You know what I mean? I remember watching it the first time. I was like, oh wow, he's really dead, and everybody's just like,
I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah,
but the romance definitely wasn't. It didn't seem that too much like a focal point. Like the real romance was I guess just the fulfillment.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. It's almost like and trying to think about like you're saying, like, how do you recommend this to somebody? It's a lot of times when you see a movie, to take from the Donnie Darko book, right? You see their chest water tube already. You know, like, you know where it's going to go, and you're seeing it unfold, and you're like, there it goes, and he's following the path. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of movies that follow that, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the plot to this movie is, like, obscured. You know what I mean? It's very, like, blurry with these, like, super out of focus, like blurry balls, like these little spots of light that you're like, I think that's where it's going, and like each kind of like act just like illuminates it just like a little bit more, but it's never like a clear straight line. It's kind of just like weaving in and out. I don't know if that's a good description of it. And then if someone explained the movie like that to me, I don't think I would want to see it. But like,
I know,
it's very blurry though.
I can't pitch it.
Yeah.
I can't pitch it. I could just be like, watch it.
Yeah, it's like watch it and then like watch it again, just to like put it all together. And I think like a lot of time travel movies are like that. Yeah, it's like if you take it at face value, like 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 you said, your friends are gonna just be like, oh, I'm gonna watch this like emo kid get scared by a giant bunny, but like it's obviously we talked about it's more than that. Yeah, exactly. I always tell people this is like a good movie. I always like recommend that it's like a good movie, but like you gotta be in it to win it with this movie. You can't just like put it on and like figure it out. You really gotta like, all right, I'm gonna try to put together where this is going. I think that's like his filmmaking style. Like his other films that he's done have not been successful in that sense. Like he did Southland Tales and then this movie called The Box, which I didn't really care for The Box. Southland Tales is kind of like a strange misfire that could have been good, but just isn't. But Donnie Darko, I think it's good. I think it's a good movie. It's a good. I don't think there's a lot of movies like it. Like it's unique.
No,
in that
not
sense.
at all.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen a single film that's like it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
That's
well, sweet.
So, okay. No. We're not closing there. I mean, I'm curious to know what. So I sort of shared the certain things that if they were removed, I might not like about the movie. Things that I don't necessarily like. I mean, what were some things that? Because I'm trying to get a better understanding of where you come from when you watch a lot of movies. Like, what didn't you like, or what sort of lost you, if anything?
There's like some comedic elements in there that I probably like could have. Like Donnie has this discussion about like Smurfs and stuff, and like the adolescent stuff. I think I could have like done without. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it could have been like refocused to just be like about trying to put together this puzzle as to like why everyone is here and acting the way they are. I mean, but the parts that are in there is great. Like that lady coming in and be like, I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Yes, I'm gonna quote that. I know, yeah. Or like when he makes out with his girlfriend, and then she's like, or when he tries to, and she's plus that fat guy over there is trying to watch his kiss.
They seem like very like out of place, but like. I don't know, man. Like what? Like now that I'm like that we talked about like not the Breakfast Club, but the Back to the Future thing. Like, what if this is his response to like those Brat Pack 80s movies? Like, like here is just like a edgy moody 80s teenage high school movie. You know what I mean? About like, I think without the comedic stuff, I probably could have done it like without that stuff. Yeah. Because to me, like, it's all about like the journey, and like there's one shot that like sums it up for me, where like Donnie is like Donnie wakes up for the first time, and he's kind of like walking through his house and like out his house, and there's this great shot of like the chandelier. It pans up, like the camera pans up, and you're like, oh, this must be Donnie's point of view, and it pans up, shows the chandelier, and points back down. And by that time, Donnie's like slipped out the door. Donnie, you see like the edge of him closing the door behind him. And I was like, oh wow, that's like, we think it's a point of view shot, but it then turns into this like this third person shot, which is great. And just like more of like the Frank stuff. Like I found Frank like eerie. Like the sound design is just like when he comes on, it's just so creepy. And like he's just kind of like obscured in the background, like when he's like doing the water main and stuff. It's just, and then when he like appears in the bathroom, it's like, oh my god, it's horrifying,
Every time he pops up, it creeps me out. Even though I expect him to be there, and I know he hasn't done anything blatantly like evil.
No,
it's just
he's very like benign. Like the only thing that like really like when he puts his paw up and like it does that force field, it's like, oh god. But even that is like he's not harming anybody. You know, like he never like comes at anybody. He's just a creepy presence. But I like that. I like that idea of just like, you know, when I remember thinking the first time watching, like, oh, is he like a demon? And is he like this strange guardian for Donnie? But he kind of is that. But then he is revealed to be human and stuff. Like I liked that stuff. Like there isn't much that I could do without. Like really just like that comedic stuff. But I really like the comedic stuff in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was great. That was a great reminder. That, like teen movie guys.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and almost like Seth Rogen and that other character, like I didn't really know like what their purpose was other than kind of like the climax at the end. Either. And maybe that's all
they were just like the bulk and skull, but the thing was they were they were like a direct transfer of bulk and skull.
Right.
Like I didn't like the guy that kept like pretending to cut Donnie and never actually committing to anything. I don't know. It's just I didn't care for that too much.
Maybe it just needed like some kind of like physical threat to Donnie because everything that's like happening to him is not present. You know what I mean?
Do you know why it didn't heighten the senses? Because Donnie never seems like someone who's scared of dying because he knows what's going to happen.
Right.
You know, like it didn't. I wasn't like, oh no, like I was like, whatever happens, it's gonna work towards this grand plot towards the end of the world anyway. So
right. Yeah. I mean, and you're right, man. It's so hard to like recommend it. It's hard to recommend it just because it's just hard to explain. You know, it's hard to give it like a Twitter summation of the movie.
No way. Yeah,
you know
you're absolutely right.
right.
There isn't even anything like accessible to latch onto. Like for example, like Kill Bill may not necessarily be the most palatable story. I could eat my words with that, but let's say like for all intents and purposes, Kill Bill isn't necessarily the most accessible story on its own, but you can still tell people, but dude, those samurai fights though.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're like, hey man, you might not be in for this, but like, yo, this part is great.
Donnie Darko is all like depth.
yeah, it really is. Like
it's all cryptic, abstracted stuff.
Yeah, and even like this is like, so here's on IMDb. A troubled teenager is plagued by visions of a large bunny rabbit that manipulates him to commit a series of crimes after narrowly escaping a bizarre accident. Like all of those things in that sentence are true, yes. But like that's not.
It's not flavor text.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything to the movie at all. It's just kind of like, well. Yeah, I mean it's good, I guess. I mean that happened. That does happen in the first 20 minutes of the movie. But then, like, you know, what about the other, you know, other hour and a half? Like, there's none of that in there. I love this movie. I'll go to the mat for this movie all the time, man.
Yeah, I think I would too. Cool, man.
Well, cool. Thank you for joining us. I hope that we expanded your mind and that we took you on an interstellar adventure
to the depths of the cinema.
And I hope you dug it.
Yeah.
I hope you really liked it. We'll see you guys next time.
Later, dudes and dudettes.